Welcome, Shadow Seekers, to American Shadows, Crimes, and Chronicles. Today, we're unearthing a tale that'll haunt your thoughts long after it ends. Whether you're glued to the screen or just listening in, you're in for a wild ride through history's darkest corners. If you're new, hit subscribe to join our mission of exposing America's hidden truths. Regulars, your likes fuel our journey into the unknown. Now, let's peel back the layers of time and reveal the secrets beneath. Ready? Let's begin. Justice or vengeance? The controversial execution of Lincoln's killers. Gather round, folks, because I've got a tale for you that'll send shivers down your spine. It's a story of conspiracy, manhunts, justice, and controversy that unfolded in the aftermath of one of the darkest moments in American history. We're talking about July 7th, 1865, the day 4 of President Abraham Lincoln's assassination conspirators met their fate at the end of a rope. Let's set the scene. The Civil War had just ended, and the nation was still reeling from the shocking assassination of President Lincoln at Ford's Theater on April 14th. The manhunt for John Wilkes Booth, the infamous actor who pulled the trigger, had captivated the nation. For 12 days, Booth and his accomplice David Harold had led Union cavalry on a wild chase through Maryland and Virginia. The pursuit ended dramatically on April 26th, when Booth was cornered in a barn and killed while Harold surrendered. But Booth and Harold weren't the only ones implicated in this heinous plot. The government, led by Secretary of War Edwin Stanton, cast a wide net, rounding up anyone with even the slightest connection to Booth or the conspiracy. In the end, 8 individuals stood trial before a military commission, a controversial decision that would be debated for years to come. Now, let's fast forward to July 7th, 1865. A large wooden gallows has been erected at the Old Arsenal Penitentiary in Washington, D.C. The air is thick with tension and the weight of history. Hundreds of spectators, including government officials, soldiers, and curious onlookers, have gathered to witness the execution of 4 of these conspirators: Mary Surratt, Lewis Powell, David Harold, and George Atzerodt. Mary Surratt, a 42-year-old widow and boarding house owner, stands out among the condemned. She is the first woman to be executed by the federal government, and her involvement in the conspiracy has been hotly debated. The prosecution painted her as a cold-hearted conspirator, fully aware of the plot against Lincoln. They claimed she helped the conspirators by hiding weapons and delivering messages. But her defenders argued she was innocent, a victim of circumstance and overzealous prosecution. Surratt maintains her innocence to the end, but the evidence against her, including testimony that her boarding house was a meeting place for the conspirators, seals her fate. Lewis Powell, also known as Lewis Payne, is a strapping young man of just 21. This former Confederate soldier was tasked with assassinating Secretary of State William Seward on the same night Lincoln was shot. Powell managed to force his way into Seward's home and viciously attacked him with a knife, but Seward survived. Powell's guilt was never in question, but his youth and the possibility that he was following orders raised ethical questions about his sentence. David Harold, a young pharmacist's assistant, was Booth's accomplice in his escape from Washington. He guided Booth through the Maryland countryside as they fled from the authorities. When cornered in a barn in Virginia, Harold surrendered while Booth chose to go down fighting. Some viewed Harold as a simpleton who was easily manipulated by the charismatic Booth, leading to debates about his level of culpability. George Atzerodt, a German immigrant and Confederate sympathizer, was assigned to kill Vice President Andrew Johnson. However, his nerve failed him, and he spent the night of the assassination drinking instead. He never even attempted his part of the plan. Yet, his involvement in the conspiracy sealed his fate. Atzerodt's bumbling nature and cowardice make him a tragic figure in this deadly plot. As the day of the execution dawns, the atmosphere in Washington is tense. The summer heat is oppressive, adding to the grim mood of the spectacle about to unfold. Inside the prison, the 4 prisoners prepare for their final moments. Mary Surratt, still proclaiming her innocence, receives last rites from a Catholic priest. Powell remains stoic, while Harold is described as nervous and agitated. Atzerodt, terrified, has to be supported as he walks to the gallows. The condemned are led to the gallows, their faces a mix of resignation and fear. The crowd watches in hushed anticipation as nooses are placed around their necks. At 1:26 p.m., the executioner pulls the lever and the trapdoors beneath their feet drop. The four conspirators fall, their bodies jolted by the sudden stop. The crowd watches in a mix of horror and fascination as the bodies swing from the ropes. After about 5 minutes, doctors check for signs of life. Mary Surratt is the first to be pronounced dead, followed by Surratt, Harold, and finally Powell, whose strong physique keeps him alive for over 5 minutes of strangulation. The public reaction to the executions was mixed. Many felt justice had been served for the beloved president's murder. Others, particularly those sympathetic to the South, saw it as an act of vengeance rather than justice. The execution of Mary Surratt in particular stirred controversy and sympathy, even among those who believed in her guilt. But the story doesn't end with the executions. The aftermath would continue to reverberate through American society for years to come. The use of a military tribunal to try civilians set a precedent that would be debated in legal circles for decades. It raised questions about the balance between national security and civil liberties, issues that continue to be relevant today. The case of Mary Surratt's son, John, added another layer of complexity to the story. John Surratt had fled the country and was finally captured in 1867. Unlike his mother, he was tried in a civilian court. His trial ended in a hung jury, and he was eventually freed. This stark difference in outcomes only fueled the debate about the justice of Mary Surratt's execution. The Lincoln assassination and the subsequent trial and execution of the conspirators had a profound impact on the course of Reconstruction. It hardened attitudes in the North towards the South, and likely contributed to the harsher policies implemented in the years following the war. As we reflect on these events, we're left with more questions than answers. Were all four of these individuals equally guilty? Did the punishment fit the crime? And in our quest for justice, did we compromise the very principles of liberty and due process that Lincoln himself held dear? The execution of the Lincoln conspirators serves as a stark reminder of the complexities of justice, especially in times of national crisis. It challenges us to think critically about the balance between security and liberty, and the consequences of decisions made in the heat of national tragedy. This is American Shadows, folks, where we dive into the dark corners of history and try to shed some light on the events that shaped our world. The story of the Lincoln assassination conspirators is not just a tale of crime and punishment. It's a window into the soul of a nation struggling to find its way after a period of unprecedented turmoil. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, the past is never as black and white as we might like to believe.